The following program is a sponsored feature. The content does not necessarily reflect the views of
تحية لك اللي عم يتابعونا ودايما على سينا 102.3 اف ام. اكيد اليوم رح بتتابعوا برنامج جديد على راديو سينا، رح بيطل عليكم كل نهار جمعة الساعة 12 الظهر. برنامج جديد You Need to Know مع نفيلة وحسين، لحتى يناقشوا مواضيع اجتماعية، مواضيع بتخص العقارات، الاديوكيشن، حقوق الأهالي. وأكيد للتواصل فيكم تتصلوا على الهواء مباشرة 313-769-6666. تحياتنا لكم.
هاي رنا.
هاي، كيفكم اليوم؟
الحمد لله.
أكيد بالبداية إذا بتحبوا تعرفوا المستمعين مين بتكون نفيلة حيدر وحسين بري.
So I can get started. We'll start off with Happy 4th of July to everybody.
Happy 4th of July.
Have a very safe and wonderful weekend. Enjoy the barbecues, but make sure when you're on the road, because so many people are going to be on the road today, be super careful, please, please. So I know we have neighbors in Windsor that might not know who Nofila is, or myself, Hussein Berre. Why don't we give a little bio on ourselves? I'll get started, and then I'll hand over to Nofila. So I've been a real estate broker for over 30 years, mostly in the Michigan area, Dearborn Heights area. I've owned and managed a major brokerage in the Dearborn Heights area. I've also managed I would say at least 4 or 5 smaller. So yeah, I've been around, learned a lot, very experienced, very knowledgeable in the real estate business. So this is one of the ideas that we, Nofila and I have been talking about doing a show like this for probably what, 4 or 5 years?
About 5, about 5 years.
Yeah, so I would say that many of our clients are happy. I said, over 30 years, I don't think I have like a speck on my record with the state. Nofila, why don't you take over and introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm Nofila Haidar, and this is Hussein Berre. I'm also in real estate, but I think we go outside of the scope of real estate in some aspects of our lives. I've been in real estate for 10 years. We have done amazing work for a lot of people. But outside of real estate, we are both very, very passionate about education and about educating people and families mostly. We have been working together in real estate for 10 years. So Hussein has that additional 20 years on me in real estate experience. And I can tell you honestly that I have benefited so much from the wealth of information that he has. Just among a few of the things that we've done, we're both board members on the Dearborn Goodfellows. Hussein was a president of the Dearborn Area Board of Realtors. I'm currently a director of the Dearborn Board of Realtors. National PTA, from local all the way to national for both of us. We've been to conventions, strategic planning committees. So we have a lot of information to offer. And Hussein said that we've been talking about this for 5 years, but for the last 5 years, we've given some of this knowledge out to people, but not in the scope of a radio show or a podcast. We've talked about it, but we've done it in other ways.
Yes.
Can you touch a little bit on?
Yeah, we've done money forums. Actually during meetings, people come up to me and start asking me about issues, with the schools. Sometimes it's as simple as who do I reach out to? Is it the teacher or the principal? And I explain to them the protocol. Sometimes when I'm out shopping for groceries, I run into somebody in the aisleway, and it breaks my heart. They tell me how their son or daughter is being bullied, or maybe some mental health issues going on in the district that they need support. So this is why we started talking about this. I think this is going to be amazing. We're gonna have a blast here doing this. Our teammate here, Rana, she's amazing. She's always been, I've been following her for a long time. I've been on the show many times. So this is our turn to have some fun, right, Nofila?
Yeah, absolutely. And when we say, we've done this in the past, we've had forums in coffee shops. We've found people out in the community and created an informal kind of forum and had discussions, and we were able to share our wealth of information regarding real estate, regarding families, regarding students being bullied, parent involvement, all of the above. So I think what really got us to be here today is that Hussein said, let's try to amplify what we do. We're a resourceful couple in all ways, in all aspects, and here we are. So
a couple other hats that I wear in the community. I've been called a community activist. I am involved, as an elected official on the school board in Dearborn, Michigan. With that comes, I'm a trustee at Henry Ford College too, so I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a public servant because that's my passion, serving the community, serving the public. What Nofila was referring to earlier with parents, parent involvement. We need the parents get involved. So we will be talking. We have many topics that we're going to be talking about every Friday. We will be getting into some of those topics later on in the show. But I've also served, for the Dearborn Lions. This is a Little League football program that I helped start probably 26 years ago. I'm still involved. I'm the retired president now. We always talk, when we talk about education, we always say, this is our future. This is our future. We have to empower our future. We have to create opportunities. I love it when people see me out in the community and say, hey, coach, or hey, Mr. Barry, these young people. And I say, okay, I know the face, but I don't know the name. And they tell me, and they're a dentist. I remember when 8 years old, I was helping them put their shoes on. But now they're either a dentist or a pharmacist or an entrepreneur or working in as a professional. For our neighbors in Windsor, I say welcome. You might probably recognize the name Hussein Barry from Eastbourne Fruit Market, aka also known as Hajj Abu Hussein's Market. So yeah, I'm his son Hussein. So I know for our listeners, you probably know my name, Hussein's name. So yeah, we're very well connected in the community, and we wanted, instead of having like small forums or just meetings here and there, we wanted to amplify the message that you need to know. You need to know with Nofila and Hussein. And the fact that we want to do this is just another way for us to serve the community.
Okay, and what better way to serve the community than to inform a community? An informed community is a successful one. So over the next 6 months, we're planning 6 months at a time, we're going to be covering a lot of topics. And it's going to be a nice mix of education and real estate. And so today's show is just basically a summary of what we'll be offering over the next 6 months. So in terms of education, and we do want you to call in as we go through this list. Call in and give us ideas. أعطونا أفكار شو بدكم تسمعوا شو بتحبوا تسمعوا. If you can call 313-769-6666. You can reach us now live, and we can take your information and figure out what it is. What would you like us to discuss? So just to begin, in terms of education, we're going to talk about educating parents. We'll talk about reading scores. These are all topics that people are familiar with, and especially parents of elementary age students. College prep. We think that education ends at graduation. Not true. College prep is a huge burden on a lot of families, and the lack of information that's out there is overwhelming. So we'll talk about parent involvement. We'll talk about knowing your rights as a parent, and we'll talk about special education advocacy. That's also a forgotten topic. What does that look like? What does it mean for the parent of a special education student? We'll talk about extracurricular activities and the impact they have on the lives of students at every age. We'll talk about anti-bullying, and we'll talk about mental health. If there's any other topic you would like us to talk about, please call 313-769-6666. We'll take your call right now and hear your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. We want to hear from you. We love interacting with our community. The fact I covered the educational part, I'm going to cover a little bit about the real estate part, where we will be talking about some of the topics. This one is a very, very important one right now. Why rent versus buying? That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Right now, obviously, if you're trying to rent a house, you know you're paying probably $500, $600, $700 more than you should have been paying 2 years ago. But I'm working with a client right now where her rent would have been around $1,650. We're going to close next week, and her payment's going to be $1,188, which includes taxes and insurance.
That's
Life-changing differences, yeah. Right? She's on her way to become, wealthy through real estate, and she's not paying somebody else's mortgage payment. So that's just one topic that I'm excited about to get to. The mortgage types. A lot of people says, okay, I want to buy a house. Well, if you don't have, a few $100,000 sitting there, you can pay cash. You probably want to get a mortgage. What kind of mortgage? Conventional, FHA, VA. There's so much out there that we want to talk about.
Mishtas are hot right now too.
Mishtas. Mishta is a program where the state is helping you with your down payment. So you have a great credit score. You've been employed for a long time. You got a history there. The state's coming in and saying, hey, we'll give you $5,000 of down payment. I have a client that's getting $13,200 towards her down payment. So this is all information that you're going to need. We'll talk about title. Why have a title policy if you're selling a house? If you're buying a house, why have a title policy? Private inspections is another good one. Why have a private inspection when you're buying a house? I can share a story, Nofila. Share that story.
Which one?
A few years ago, I was talking to a client, and I always recommend.
Well, there's no backtracking now. You're sharing the story.
I'm sharing the story.
Okay, go.
I told you we're gonna have some fun here. So I was talking to this very young couple. They're buying a house. I think it was about $280,000, and it wasn't that big of a house. It was like 1,150 square foot bungalow. I said, it's probably a great idea since you're a first time buyer to get a private inspection. Private inspection, you don't do private inspections just to find aha moments, something wrong with the house, you want to walk away. The inspector will give you an idea what you need to be doing a year from now, 2 years from now, and maybe a long-term plan so you can budget. And the husband turns around and says, okay, but what if we spend, $375 in this private inspection and we end up not closing on the house because we found something wrong? I'm like, that's the best $375 you ever spent
Seriously?
in your life. That's, if you get into a house without a private inspection and you run into a problem, guess what? It becomes a cash cow, meaning that you're just going to be pumping money into it, you become a headache. Then you're not going to like the realtor that sold you the house. That's why, one of the other reasons. So obviously, there's a lot of topics here. I'm excited to get to. Finally, want to cover a couple more?
Yeah. Let's go back to, we talked about leasing versus buying, the mortgage types, private inspection, the appraisal process. People don't know as much as they should about the appraisal process from a buyer perspective and from a seller perspective. Here's a hot one that I think people are really going to like listening to, just because we have so many rentals in the city and the surrounding cities, evictions and tenant versus landlord rights. Most people think they know, but they have no idea. And I'll tell you, around this topic, you need to know. Not everyone that can buy an investment should buy an investment. Not everyone who is a landlord should be a landlord. And not everyone who is a tenant should be a tenant. So there's so much information that we can bring around that topic. Credit repair. This is a term that's thrown around like very, very casually, but what do people really know about credit repair, and how much should they know? That's a whole other topic. And by the way, let me just mention this. If you are an expert on any of these topics and you would like to call us and join the show and become a sponsor of the show, please do. My number is 313-443-7443, and Hussein's number is 313-580-8007. Again, 313-443-7443, and Hussein's number is 313-580-8007. Call us, reach out to us, and we would love to have you. We will be, we can have a meeting just prior to the show, so we can, because we would like to relay information to our listeners that is credible. So call
Yeah.
us. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, definitely call us. Sometimes people intimidated to ask a question live
Yeah.
on the radio. Maybe I've been on TV shows where people don't want to call in, and so you're more than welcome to call us. But if you want to call us when we're live, you're always welcome to. The phone number there is 313-769-6666. So some of the topics that Nofila just covered, they're very exciting. But what we're going to do is each one of these topics, we're going to spend a whole hour talking about that, and hopefully you'll have the questions. We will give you a heads up what's up next week. Before we end the show, we'll tell you what the topic is next week. So if you have any questions or affects your life, let us know. Back to evictions a little bit. I want to throw something else out there. Oh my God, it's the saddest part of my 30 plus years of this career. I love this career. I love meeting people. I love helping people. But sometimes you're into sad situations on both sides. It's somebody that's been making payments on time, and everything is everything as far as they think everything is good. All of a sudden something goes wrong. The landlord sells the house and don't tell them, and all of a sudden they didn't have the right lease in place. They didn't have a professional working with them, helping them. And on the other side too, a landlord spends all this money, invests in a property, and gets the tenant from, I'll stop right there, I'll keep the show clean, and it just ruins his life, ruins his, it's like he just can't recover because all the damage done to the house. But you always want to work with the professionals. Obviously, you can always reach out to a realtor, and that's going to be one of the topics too. We're going to have one of our friends is a real estate attorney come on the show and help us talk more about this.
That goes back to the topic. When you mentioned that private inspection fee, a small fee can save you a lot of trouble and a lot of headaches. So with rentals, yeah, you can hand over the key and make up your own contract or Google a contract, but if you don't have the right contract in place for both sides, the tenant and the landlord, you can get in a lot of trouble. So it is always better to pay that small fee, hire a professional, and be protected on both sides. One of my favorite topics that we're going to touch on is the senior citizen living transition.
Oh wow.
That's a big one. I love this conversation because I live this conversation. I personally have so many clients that I've helped transition their living situations, because you know what, life happens. You may be in your home for 45 years and you're enjoying it and everything's fine, but life happens. Your health changes, your family situation changes, and a huge portion of this conversation is going to be fraud protection for senior citizens. So listen in for that. And again, if there are any topics you would like us to cover, please call right now. We're listening, 313-769-6666, or even text one of our phones, 313-443-7443 or 313-580-8007. And we'll have these conversations, these topics reordered, in a way. We would like to explain the market, buyers versus sellers. And then, another one of our favorite topics, this is a joint favorite topic, how to become a realtor. What does it take? It's not just a 40-hour class. It's not just a state exam. What will it take for you to become a realtor and to maintain your realtor's license and to grow your sphere and grow your business as a real estate professional?
Just to follow up on what Nofila is talking about, we want to get back to the education part. We don't want to make it just talk about real estate here today. In my career, I've trained many agents that are top producers right now, and I have the honor of being recognized when I meet, when I see one of these realtors. They'll tell me, if it wasn't for Hussein, I probably wouldn't be in this business. I wouldn't be doing so good. And I'm also very proud that three of my colleagues that I've worked with and helped and trained have their own brokerage right now, and they're doing very good things. So yes, if you are thinking about getting into the real estate business, reach out to us. I'm sure we'll be giving you a phone number multiple times. My number is 313-580-8007, and the file is 313-443-7443. This is the part that I love. I love training. I love training future realtors. Like Nofila touched on it a little bit. In order to get a license, simple. You take a class, 40 hours, you take a test at the school, and you pass that test, and you go to the state and you take that test, and now you're a licensed realtor. They don't teach you how to sell real estate. They don't teach you how to network. They don't teach you how, what to do, how to handle buyers. They don't teach you about agency disclosure. They don't teach you anything, contracts. Yeah. This is where a good broker comes in and it helps you and trains you. I'm in the middle. I'm right now currently training 3 of our team members right now, and they're doing well. Matter of fact, just before I got on the show, I received an offer from one of my agents that we're training, Jared. One of our friends' son-in-laws. But yeah, reach out to us. Let's switch us back over to education.
But before we do that, let's take a quick break, listen to a song of our choosing for you.
Start Facebook Live. So commercial break. Did you?
It's still live.
I mean, can you talk to it?
And we're back.
Welcome back. I just want to put the phone number out there for CNR Radio again, 313-769-6666. CNR Radio 102.3. They do a wonderful job serving the community with different shows, different talk shows. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's legal issues, sometimes it's real estate, but they do a wonderful job. So thank you to CNR Radio. Nofila, I wanted to switch back over to education. I
Okay.
want the whole show
Let's
to be
do it.
around real estate, even though that's important too. And I'm getting some text messages, people are asking questions, so I'll get to later. Parent involvement. What does that mean? That's a term that gets thrown around. We want our parents to be involved. And you know what? I can say it. I'm not speaking on behalf of the school board. I'm speaking on behalf of Hussein Nofila. It's my personal opinion. We ask parents to get involved. When they do get involved, it's like they get pushed back a little bit. This is not fair. So, me, and, I answer my phone. My phone number's out there, and I answer it, and I try to help out within my legal rights. But when you tell parents you want them to get involved in this, education of their children, you need to be more welcoming. My opinion, again, I'm not speaking on behalf of my colleagues or the administration. This is my opinion. You need to be more welcoming of parents. What does that mean? We educate the student, and we should be educating the parents too on their rights and what they need to know. For example, PTA. A lot of parents don't understand that they have a powerful voice through the PTA. Parents, teachers, administrators. Sometimes they include students too, but that's a powerful group, and there's a chapter in almost every one of your buildings. This does not just apply for Dearborn. It's Dearborn Heights, Elm Park, Melvindale, your school system, the school system in the Windsor area, same thing. There's always organizations. They might have a different name, but it's organizations where parents come together and they hold the principal accountable, they hold the school board accountable, they hold the superintendent accountable. So parents, you have a lot of rights. You need to know them. We're going to spend an hour talking about this. Give you an example. Like Nofila here, my partner. I refer to her as my life partner and my business partner. It works. She was very involved in PTA. I was involved in PTA 30 plus years ago when my kids were younger. She rose to the level of the city of Dearborn public school system president of the PTA. That means there was 30 buildings that she was 33. Oh, sorry.
Making the record straight.
Yeah, it's okay. 33 buildings she was responsible for. So every building had a chapter. They had their own president. They had their own officers, and she overlooked. She held the whole system. And she did such a great job that actually National PTA reached out to her. Anna Keene was president. She's no longer president.
She's no longer president, but she's still very involved.
She's still very involved. She reached out to Nofila.
Yeah. Yes.
She reached out to Nofila and said, we would want to get you involved in National PTA. And she did, and she was part of a couple of committees. Speaking of committees, parents, this is one way to get involved. Another way to get involved, serve on committees. Dearborn Public Schools, Crestwood Public Schools, any school system has committees that the school board rely on for information. You collect information, you give it to the school board. The school board is there to serve you as the parents, as the constituents of the city. So get involved in committees. If you don't know what to do, reach out to the secretary, the superintendent, and say, how do I get involved? I want to serve on the next committee. Or reach out to any one of us school board members, which will put out the information on my colleagues too.
Well, even at in your building, in your child's school building, create a relationship with the office secretary, because those are the people that actually run the building. You create that relationship, and you get on a list, on an email list, anytime volunteers are needed, whether it's in the building and then eventually at the district level. You can become a part of that conversation. When you're at the table, you're a part of the conversation. If there are no seats for you at the table, bring a folding chair. You need to be involved in your child's education.
She loves saying that.
I love it. It's my favorite quote. I have a folding chair in my car everywhere I go. But have, be a part of that. It's not just, people think of PTA as, the group of moms that sell cookies and cupcakes. Absolutely not. That's not what PTA does. PTA is advocacy. And we reached the national level, after I completed my service there, I came back to Dearborn, and just for the record, at this point in my life, I don't have any children in K through 12 system. My daughter just graduated. So for those of you who think you shouldn't be involved in a school district or in your children's former school because they've graduated, that's not necessarily true. During my daughter's junior year in high school and senior year in high school, I helped start a special education PTA. And it's not because I had a student in the special education department, it's because I saw a need there. And I saw that parents wanted that unit to be created, but nobody had the time or the energy or sometimes the resources to put it together. So that's what we did, our group, our board on the special education PTA. We put it together, and now that my daughter's graduation, kind of handing off to parents who are just starting. And because you want that longevity of service, you want a parent that's just starting to take over, they take ownership, and they run the unit, and they bring parents together, and they advocate for students. And even if it's something as small as attending an IEP meeting with another parent that's just starting out and they have no idea. The fear and anxiety of an IEP meeting is tremendous. And
explain what IEP is.
It's an individualized education plan for a student with special needs. And see, I just did it, right? I just said IEP meeting without elaborating. Parents go into these meetings thinking, I'm just meeting with a teacher. But then the acronyms start being thrown around, and people have no idea. As a school employee, you're used to these acronyms. You understand what they mean. But a parent coming into an IEP meeting for the first time because their child has that need, they're afraid and they're uninformed, and they want that. And this is where a PTA group or a parent group steps in to kind of guide each other and create a circle around the new parent. And it's really important to have someone to fall back on and call when you're in those corners. And that's what we do.
One of Nofila's very successful addition to PTA was the back to school picnic.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
picnic.
that was amazing. It started out with a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
They grew to 500 to 600. I'm gonna keep the fun part. I'm just going to 12, 1300. To tell you what it was. So we would invite the parents to at least get to know each other. So if you're at Becker School or if you're at Woodworth, you need to know that together you're more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what actually the mission. This was Nofila's vision. That was the mission of the back to school picnic. So we had different organization, and we are blessed in the Dearborn area, and I'm sure in Windsor and everywhere else it's the same way. We are very, very blessed with a very, very generous community. We don't, anytime I personally ask for anything or we ask for anything, our business community delivers. So we would get backpacks donated. One of the local pizzeria would donate the pizzas, but the favorite part of the picnic was flipping the burgers. That was my job. The last picnic that we had, I flipped over 1,200 burgers.
1,200.
And that year, the national president, I mentioned her name earlier, Anna King, heard about these famous burgers that Hussein makes, and she reached out to me personally. She says, I want one of those burgers I keep hearing about.
She showed up.
I said, you show up to Dearborn, I'll make you the burger myself. And guess what? She did show up.
And she's not from Michigan, by the way. She's from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
She flew in from
Oklahoma,
so she can attend our picnic.
Yeah, so I know there's another one being planned, and we'll talk some more about this like later in July. And the current national, I'll have Nofila mention who the leadership is right now. We have a great president right now for Dearborn. Why don't you tell everybody who that person is?
Oh, he's my very, very good friend, Nabil Al-Talaya. He's the current PTA Council president, and he's doing amazing work. So thank you, Nabil, for continuing that mission and continuing the picnic. And the picnic wasn't just my favorite event; it was everybody's favorite event, including Nabil. I'd like to just touch on this one thing. When we all think that issues that we're experiencing or experiences that we're experiencing within our city are our own, that we're special. We're not special. When I went to national conventions and I sat down with parents from Utah, from New Mexico, from California, from New York, from Florida, we were able to realize how small we really are and how similar our concerns are. A parent is a parent no matter what part of the world they're in. And a student is experiencing the same issues as every other student across the globe. And it's a real thing. And I was able to connect with hundreds of other parents that were dealing with the same things. We are all from different backgrounds, different cultures, different experiences, but we all have the same things going on.
You know, Nofila, I want to follow up on something. You said that parents experience the same thing, you know, throughout the country. Also districts. Everybody thinks, oh, Dearborn, you know, with the Middle Eastern community, almost every country represented, not just the Middle Eastern, you know, most of Europe too. Like it's a special place like this. There's something going on there. But a few years ago, I met a colleague from, I believe it was from New Mexico, and we started talking, and I said, oh my God, we had such a similar district when it came to bilingual, when it came down to like reading skills, when it came down to the student population. Obviously with Dearborn, you know, a lot of Middle Eastern students in the district. In New Mexico, it was, you know, students from the Latino community.
Yeah.
But we shared so many things that, yes, you know, parents, again, we don't want to keep driving it home. You do need to get involved.
Yes.
You need to reach out to us. You know, I love questions. You know me, I answer them. So if you have any questions, and just as important, we mentioned the topics that we're going to be covering. If there's something that's near and dear to your heart that you want to talk about, please reach out to us. You know, if it's personally or calling the show, let us know. Hey, there's this one topic that you should be talking about, and there is no topic that's off limits. I can tell you that right now. If you know Nofila, you know she's a fighter, in a good way too. And if you know me, I'm not shy to speak the truth. I will always speak the truth. So if there's a topic that you think, don't think, oh, you know what, maybe they don't want to go there. No, let's go there. Let's talk about it. Let's, you know, deal with it, and we'll go from there.
No, we love to go there, no matter the topic, no matter the situation. So yes, call us or text us. I am receiving some text messages already. I can see it on my screen about different topics. We just won't mention them just yet until I'm able to open the messages and see. My phone number is 313-443-7443. Hussein's number is 313-580-8007. And you can also call us live right now, 313-769-6666. And we are going to take a second break.
After the break, I have 10 to 15 minutes left. You can read the messages.
I want to make sure they were appropriate first.
Do you remember the song?
It's a great song.
Yeah. Welcome back. I'm having a blast here. I'm enjoying this. Thank you to everybody who's text messaging us, telling us that we're doing a good job, and we're having fun. This is not a job. We're having a blast. I got one of our friends here he didn't want to call in, but he wanted to give us a compliment that we're very knowledgeable real estate professionals, and he made the connection to once you know how real estate and the value of real estate kind of connects to a thriving community, a thriving school system, so it goes in hand. I can share with you the number 3 question I get. I'm sure you probably hear the same thing. So number 1 is like, we put a house on the market and we put a sign in front of it, and phone calls start coming in. What's the price? And we give them the price. Then they ask, what is the square footage? And we give them the square footage. And I'm thinking they're going to start asking how many bedrooms like that. Tell me about the schools.
Yeah.
That's very, very important, because guess what? There's so much valuable information on the state website that you as a consumer, if you want to compare different cities, and I always say, hey, you need to find out, where your school system is. But I'm very, very proud of not just Dearborn, the Dearborn area, the surrounding school district. There's some great things going on, obviously in Dearborn. I can brag for hours and hours on the great things going on in Dearborn. We just went through graduation season. That's my favorite part of the season. The millions and millions of dollars that our students receive in scholarships. The fact that they're all, a lot of them are going to 4 universities, and it's no longer just going down the street. Now I'm very proud of our parents that they're letting their students, especially their young daughters, go away to schools like Columbia, Harvard. This is amazing. But I wanted to mention earlier too that there's some great things going on in Crestwood School District. I know Robichaud is doing very good. That's in Dearborn Heights. It's part of the Westwood School District. I know District 7 had some issues a few years ago, but I believe they're over it, and they have a great superintendent in place right now, great principal at school in place. So a lot of great things going on, and that does. So thank you, Michael, for reaching out with that compliment, but that does affect the values of the homes.
Yeah, I also had a minute while we were on break, to kind of look through my messages, and you know what? Some very important questions. One of them, some are education related and others are real estate related. And you know what you just mentioned about that 3rd question, it's very important, because people wonder why we're mixing the two, real estate and education. It's because they go hand in hand. Where you live matters, because the schools that your children go to matter. So we're mixing them together for good reason. One of the questions I received was about dual enrollment. Talk to us about dual enrollment. So we will add that as a topic. What is dual enrollment? What is the early college program? What is the 5-year graduation versus the 4-year graduation? So we'll talk about all of that. Another question I received was regarding deeds. People know that they could add a person to their deed. What is the difference between a quitclaim deed or a ladybird deed? And can we have a professional talk about estates and trusts? Definitely, we'll have someone talking about deeds. Another question that came in, I'm a non-traditional buyer. I have a 1099 income. What can you do for me?
That's good.
That's a very big one, because we are a city of entrepreneurs. We're actually, the southeastern Michigan is huge on small business. And, small business owners deserve to buy a house too. Of course, there are solutions, and of course, a 1099 buyer has options. I have
Earlier, I mentioned the different mortgages.
Yeah.
And, I didn't cover that, but sometimes it's called a stated income.
Yeah.
You're not getting a W-2 at the end of the year, so when you file your taxes, everybody understands that you get tax credits and tax breaks. And most investors, so you got an investor that's buying up these mortgages, maybe out in Seattle or New York. Most people understand. What they do is they review your checking account and they see that there's money coming in and money going out, and then they qualify for the loan. But that's up to the experts to to figure that out. Again, we're looking for your questions. Detroit, Windsor, call us 313-769-6666. Now, Nofila touched on a couple of things here that I want to follow up on. When she mentioned dual enrollment and 5-year collegiate program, I know to some people they understand it, but the majority of the people need to understand that dual enrollment is if I'm a high school junior, sometimes you can start earlier, I can actually take classes. We have a caller on the line. Masanur, ahlan, ahlan. Ahlan, Diva. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're still learning from you, Diva.
إن شاء الله next show أكيد بندخل عربية. Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yes. Sounds like we need to have Diva on the show.
So Diva, you know what? I always tell you when I talk to you, get out of my head. So our next show, what I mean by get out of my head, you're always thinking ahead. You're always thinking what we're thinking.
Let
So
me
our
just
next
tell
show,
our live stream too.
show right now, for next week, July 11th, 12, is going to be back to school information. So this is exactly what you're looking for, yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Thank
definitely.
you.
There,
Thank
you know,
you,
Diva, we always welcome. Like I said, there is no subject too sensitive. We'll talk about anything. And
Yeah.
usually, yeah, vaping is another one of these topics that we'll be talking about. It's just not vaping education. Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you, Diva. Allah
Thank
yafik.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much. So
much.
just for
Thank you.
our live stream viewers, our caller was asking about, she's asking us to have a discussion around summer prep, math and science and English, especially for seniors that just graduated high school and they're going to a university campus or a college campus to take their placement exam. A lot of them are not ready and they're not testing where they're supposed to be testing for college level. And she also talked about vapes. We need to address the problem of vaping. So these are two topics that we'll definitely be touching on.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I did not know that. I did not
Okay.
know that. So yeah.
Okay.
So you know what? We're having so much fun. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
We just got the signal that hey, you're almost wrapping up. I just want to touch on a couple of things. So the caller, thank you, Diva. The caller did
Yeah.
mention that students are behind. That didn't happen overnight. I mean, I am one that's past COVID, but we have to be realistic too.
Yeah.
COVID set our students back, not just in reading and mathematics too. So yes, summer school is at an all-time high. I can speak for Dearborn, is an all-time high right now with the number of students in summer school. The summer of right after COVID, we built a program second to none. Thank God for our teachers. They stepped up to the plate. Teachers, you know I love you. Thank you for everything you do. but they stepped up to the plate, and every year we're getting closer and closer. We need to get our students back to who they were pre-COVID. We don't want to keep blaming things on COVID, but yes, it hurt us when we went online. It hurt us with the social aspects of our students. That's why one of our topics is going to be mental health, the anti-bullying. That's real. That's real talk. And the caller, I'm very thankful because she thought maybe it was a sensitive subject that we want to bring up. No, please call us. Nofila's phone number is 313-443-7443. Mine is 313-580-8007. And when we're live on the show, the number is 313-769-666. Please, you run into me or Nofila out in the community, I'm always at events. If there's something that you want us to discuss, we'll be more than happy to add it to our list.
So let us just thank you all for tuning in, and then we'll see you you can hear us next Friday. We'll see you on the live stream next Friday, 12 o'clock. And continue to send us messages. We love all the topics that are coming in. And enjoy the 4th of July. Have a great weekend.
Next week is back to school information. Have your questions ready. We would love to hear from you. We will have plenty of information for you, what to do, how to prepare, especially if you have a senior going into your high school. It should be the most fun year of their life.
Absolutely.
And you can enjoy it too. You don't believe me right now, but you actually can enjoy it.
Correct.
That's right.
It's bottom right.